Pastor Chooks, along with his wife, Pastor Toyin, are the lead pastors of Resurrection Life Church in Johannesburg, South Africa. Through them, God is raising an army of ordinary men and women who are transforming and uplifting the standard of life in their communities through understanding and applying biblical principles. Pastor Chooks and Pastor Toyin frequently host workshops, seminars, and conferences for transformation and uplifting of the complete man, complete woman, and wholesome families. Some of the events and programs include the Dream Achievers seminars and conferences, Kingdom Financiers conferences, marriage enrichment courses and seminars, for wives only seminars, single ladies boot camps, limitless men's seminars. They are also the founders of the Power of Woman Academy, a group mentorship for high impact women. They also host the annual Power of Women conferences and events. For more information, please visit www.idelight.co.za and www.reslife.org.za or WhatsApp +27 814 210 835.
Hi, welcome to another Friday. It's thank God it's Friday. We are excited to host another edition of our variety show. Tonight we have a special guest all the way from the city of Port Harcourt in Nigeria, none other than the Reverend Joe Igbanugo. But before I introduce him once again tonight, I just want a word from my wife. Please greet our audience.
Welcome. It's another Friday, another time to receive wisdom, another time to get insight into the things that we are believing God for. We just want to thank God for today's event, today's program. We really are excited. Last week left us with a lot of questions that helped us to fine-tune some things in our relationships. And we really are excited about this week. What we are going to learn today, we believe that homes will be established. We believe that marriages will be stronger. We believe that relationships will be stronger, even from tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much. We look forward to a great time this evening.
All right. We had an amazing time last week. By the grace of God, our relationship has been 22 years, and then we've been married for 20 out of 22. And I've been teaching relationships even before I got married. But last week, I was a student.
Yes.
I was a student. We learned so much wisdom from our guest, who has been a veteran in this field for so many years. We are very glad to have him. Let me tell you about him a little bit. He is the marriage apostle. He's an author, an international conference speaker, relationship and family life consultant. He is the president and lead coach of Marriage Restoration International Incorporated. He's the convener and lead coach of Marriage Revolution for singles and married, also known as My Marriage Must Work. He is an author of so many books. Some of the books include Unlocking Possibility Mentality, Your Dream Can Change Your World, Get Married in 12 Months, Marriage Revolution Code 12, and there are a few books that are coming out shortly, Love, Sex, and Married Life, and the 52 Laws of Intentional Marriage. He is married to Lady Meg Omojo Igbanugo for over 22 years, and they're blessed with 3 nations. They're not just children, they're 3 nations. They live in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. His website is joeigbanugo.com. Well, tonight, welcome my big brother, a man who I had known all the way back from 1987 when I became a first-year student at the university. He was my senior, and he was used mightily by God to help disciple us and stabilize us when we were just young in the faith. And I am so privileged to have him for a second time tonight in our event. Thank God it's Friday. Reverend Joe, you are welcome, sir.
God bless you, man of God.
Yes, sir.
This is my privilege to be here again, second Friday run.
Yes, sir. What an awesome time we had last week. You blessed us too much.
Yes.
We are expectant of another dose of heaven's collusion tonight.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
All right. Let's get into the show right away. We talked about a number of things last week.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just do a bit of recap on some of the key things that we took away last week. One of the powerful truths that came through last week is that there are no wrong wives or wrong husbands. There are bad wives and bad husbands. Reverend Joe talked about turning the heat of change on yourself. Instead of trying to get someone else to change, you got to turn the heat of change on yourself. And there was a very powerful one. Will you marry you? If you can get out of yourself and look at you, what you represent, would you marry you? And it was quite a life-changing encounter last week, and we are on for another time tonight. Reverend Joe, do you have an opening remark for our audience around the world as we get into tonight's show?
Wow. Thank you for bringing me again today on the show. I enjoyed myself last Friday. Then, as we get into some practical wisdom ideas that will help us run successful relationships, I can just begin with this. Many relationships, some of them have continued in major frustrations, some continued in absentee emotional contribution. Some of them, husband and wife, they are together, but there is no connection. Some of them have been dating relationships that are supposed to mature into wedding, but they never got into wedding. They died prematurely. There are some issues that
challenge there, but we are back on. Please, man of God, continue.
a disposition that has hurt a lot of relationships. Before we get into some questions and answers today, this major disposition, I want to use it to open. There are some relationships that would have led to marriage, either courtship or dating. It would have matured into wedding long ago. But this disposition I'm about to talk about has denied a lot of nice people from turning a courtship or a dating into wedding. It has also denied a lot of nice, holy, righteous believers from enjoying their marriages. And I call it kindergarten emotional management. Kindergarten emotional management. When we don't manage our emotions properly, it can hurt us. Most regrettable words people have spoken that have hurt their relationships came out of mismanaged emotion. Most promises that were not fulfilled that lovers are holding on to came out of mismanaged emotion. The Bible says in Micah, I think 7 verse 5, Micah 7 verse 5, that a young man should be careful of what he says when a maiden is lying on his bosom. I'm paraphrasing it. You know, there are promises we make, baby, I love you, I'm going to do this, I will never leave you, I'm going to do. These are made out of excited dipoles, excited system of the body, of the mind. You don't make fast promises when you are too happy. You don't make fast promises when you are too excited, too happy, which you have not calculated. So that's positive emotion. Now, when we look at negative emotion, that's what terribly spoils and destroys relationships. Now, what are the sponsors of these emotional eruptions? Hurts and offenses. Hurts and offenses. Are you with me? Are you with me? The sponsors of these emotional eruptions are hurts and offenses. And Jesus said in Luke 17, verse 1, that offenses must come. There is no relationship that doesn't have offenses, including the one between Jesus and his bride. Offenses must come. And then no marriage is devoid of offenses and hurts. Why? I wrote something down here, which most of you would have heard. We are hurt deepest when we are offended by those we love the most. We are hurt deepest when we are offended by those we love the most. And then, which means the person you love the most is also the one who has the capacity to hurt you the deepest. So we have to be proactive and be ready with offenses. Then malice and bitterness are relationship intimacy poisons and immunity depleters to the flesh. Malice and bitterness are relationship intimacy poisons. When these emotions get on to level of malice, bitterness, begins to poison intimacy. Our reactions begin to happen as a result of these poisons. And then in intimacy, immunity begins to go down. What is intimacy immunity? Passion. Passion is the immunity of intimacy, is the immunity of love. And hurts and offenses can dry up passion. When it dries up passion, somebody that suddenly was interested in you, that so much loved you, that so much needed your attention and your presence and your company, begins to move back. Intimacy poison has set in. Passion has begun to die. And when you are not passionate about somebody, your relationship with that person can suffer any accident at any time. Now, what are the sponsors? Negative emotions. So we have to know and learn and grow in managing our emotions. Very, very important, especially when we are angry, when we are hurt, when we are offended. That's why, in summarizing this time, that's why I propagate that every person to have a lasting quality relationship must learn how to forgive without waiting for apology. Somebody must not, your partner must not apologize before you forgive. But apology is very important. I am sorry is very, very important. It can heal any wound. But before the I am sorry comes, forgive and move on. And now wait for the apology. If it doesn't come, good. Now learn it and learn it. It's a hard thing to learn to forgive before apology comes. So managing our emotions as matured people, not as kindergartens, we help to stabilize and run a courtship or a date into wedding, and then bring bliss and joy and happiness and longevity into marriage. Let me make this last statement. The person you get married to, your husband or your wife, is one major reason you will either live long or die untimely. Like you and Mommy Tosin are there, Toyin are there. The major reason either of you will live long and enjoy good health is each one of you. So the person you are wedding, that day you wed, the person say, I do, and they say you can now kiss the bride. That person you are about to kiss is a major reason you either live long or die untimely. Why? That is the closest influence to you. Husband is the closest influence to wife. Wife is the closest influence to husband. So when the intimacy is poisoned, when passion is not there, anything wrong can happen to that relationship, and it can affect your health. Most sicknesses today are psychosomatic sicknesses. They start from the mind and they get to the body. So when the mind is calm and sound, the body will follow suit. That's how immunity balances work. But ordinary psychological counseling can balance immunity. Do the same thing medicine will do. God bless
you. Sir. Thank you for throwing that out at the start of our conversation tonight. Now, I want to ask you a question, just following on what you just said.
Yes.
You said, learn to manage your emotions. Learn to control your emotions. Can you give us practical tips how one can learn that? What does one need to do to learn to manage anger or bitterness, or, you know, how do you manage it? What practical things can somebody do to learn how to manage their emotions?
I kind of put up something in my note here, and it's like you read my note before you asked your question. Now, how do you manage anger and conflicts? How do you manage a bursting emotion? Your partner just said something that you must react to, that got you angry, and you are hot. You are hot inside. Number one, speak less when you are angry. That one you can manage to speak less when you are angry. You can walk out of the geographical position of the provocation. Speak less when you are angry. Number two, move your body from the position of the provocation. Nobody can move your body for you. Just stand up and move a little bit. You can get into the restroom. You can get into the sitting room if it happened in the bedroom. So just move a little bit. That's part of proactive measures to manage your emotion. There are some people that feel that anger is their birthright, that is the gift and heritage of their family. I've had somebody that said that in my family, we don't take rubbish. We don't take provocation. So don't provoke me. Ask my mother, ask my elder brother. It is the gift to their family, but there's a way you can manage it because you have decided to get married. Number three way to manage bursting emotion like anger: decide never to fertilize bitterness. Don't fertilize bitterness. How do you fertilize bitterness? How do you fertilize bitterness? Self-pity. Self-pity fertilizes bitterness. You begin to remember, it's me that this person did this thing to. You begin to regret, begin to feel terrible about it. You are fertilizing the bitterness. Each time the person passes, you remember it, you are fertilizing the bitterness. Then major way of dealing with anger is identify and address issues rather than personality. For example, your wife says, not your own wife, a wife tells the husband, you are stupid. You go and hit the person that says you are stupid. The issue there is, why did she say you are stupid? Concentrate on the issue. You can see that your anger from going to hit her will take restraint. So deal with issues you are discussing. Don't look at personalities. Then take charge by principle. Take charge by principle. Tell yourself, I can never lay hands on my partner, no matter how angry I am. It's a principle. Even when nothing has happened, it's a principle. Lives that are run on principle, they fare better than the ones that are run on power. God designed this life to run on principles, natural principles, natural laws. But when they don't work, power is an interventionist force. When they don't work, for example, if you obey principles of relationship between man and woman, husband and wife, two friends, you may not need intervention of anything. So put it as a principle. Under no circumstance will I open my mouth to say, if you do this again, we divorce. I've never used the word divorce in my marriage of almost 23 years. I've never used the word divorce. It's a principle. It doesn't matter what she does. I've never contemplated that I will hit her or I will tell her you are stupid. I've never done it, and I can't because it's a principle. So take charge by principle. Finally, never reinvest your hearts. Avoid revenge. Avoid revenge. When you are angry, remember, I won't revenge. How do we revenge sometimes? You use another word that will break the heart of the person, to throw back to the person, to get at the person because of what the person did to you, or what the person said to you. So reinvesting it is you give it a life cycle. When you reinvest hurt, you give it a life cycle. And when it has a life cycle in your relationship, one day your relationship will give up. It will break, it will scatter. You now say it is the devil. God bless you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's quite a lot to chew on what you have just thrown out. Wow. All right, let me get to some of the questions that we got from our audience, and we will just roll with a few of those questions.
Okay.
All right, this one says, what do you do when you live with a spouse who seems to be possessed by the spirit of suspicion?
Wow. Now, let me first say something about suspicion before we talk about the spirit, if there is any. Now, if you are the person that asked this question must be a believer to talk about spirit. Now, we have not received the spirit of suspicion. It is not anywhere as a gift, not anywhere as a fruit, not anywhere as a virtue. We have received the spirit of discernment, discerning spirit. That's what a believer has. Suspicion is not part of our fruit. It's not part of our gift, not about part of our virtue. Now, let me say something about suspicion. Please pay attention to this, everybody. If you make your partner a suspect, the devil will confirm it immediately. Any area of your life you make your partner a suspect, the devil has gotten a raw material to work with. So what do you do? Very important. That person that had the spirit of suspicion, how do you break it? There are kingdom principles that destroy the powers of darkness without laying of hands. How do you do it? Very simple. If you are the person that is being suspected, go extra way to prove faithfulness and trustworthiness and transparency. Go extra mile to prove transparency. Go extra mile. If you are the person that is being suspected, if you are the person suffering from that spirit, learn to trust people by faith. Learn to trust people. As a matter of fact, trust begins by faith. That's why a criminal who got a lawyer to defend him in a lawsuit tells the lawyer everything and trusts that the lawyer will not use it against him in the court. And when you trust a criminal as a lawyer, he tells you all the truth. So when we trust our partners, it has a way of building fidelity, building honesty in the person you trust. It's not automatic. It's not automatic. The person might still be doing suspicious things for months, but your trust by faith is a seed you have sown into his life, into her life, into your relationship. It will return back to you with fidelity. Then, if you are the person that is being suspected all the time, I said last Friday that in every nagging there is truth. Every nagging there is an element of truth. So sit down in proactive feedback, like we said last week, and ask yourself when nobody is there, this thing my partner is saying, do I have something that looks like the color or what he's saying? Is there any way yellow resembles green in my life? He might be seeing green and be saying it's yellow. So let me do away with green. And just giving an illustration. So what your partner is suspecting, every time suspecting, is not enough for you to say he had the spirit of suspicion. Watch what is suspecting. Is there anything that resembles it? You deal with it. Very, very important. Go extra mile to be transparent, and God will help you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that one was a very powerful one. Let me bring out another question here.
Okay.
It says, why does most relationship in today's society end up in separation or divorce? Why is the rate of the breakdown of marriage higher with our generation than the generation of our fathers?
Now, if I use the word very simple, that's the word I wanted to jump out of my mouth. But let me not say very simple. Because when I say very simple, people that are having that challenge will think that I'm taking what they are saying lightly. Now, the reason is this. Number one, most people that get into a relationship get into it on a neutral ground. That is, their personality does not have identification. You don't know whether they are believers or unbelievers, whether they are pagans or Christians. You don't know what they are. They present themselves as Christians, but their manner and behavior and character is like a pagan. Let me give you an example. I handled a case recently. A beautiful young lady is into a relationship. She used her mouth to tell me that she told the guy she's getting married to that she's 4 years younger than her actual age. The guy told her his actual age. Along the line, she told the guy that she was pregnant, and she wasn't pregnant, so that she wanted to test whether the guy actually loves her. Then after some weeks, she told the guy that the pregnancy has suffered abortion or miscarriage. The guy later discovered these two things and pulled out of that relationship. Now, this lady that was talking is supposed to be a believer. So she can go to somebody that is not well informed and told the person, I've been suffering breakage of relationship, I've been suffering. The person will now just say, let's begin to pray, without looking at some principles. So she has not lived her life straightforward, sincerely. She wasn't honest. So why can't the lies break the relationship? So when we live our lives as believers, as Christians, and live by that principle, when there is embarrassment, I told us what happened in John chapter 2 the other day. Jesus was invited to a wedding. The mother was invited, and there was an embarrassment, a challenge to that wedding. Let's call that wedding a marriage or a relationship. What did it take to get the challenge under control? Simple obedience. Not because Jesus was there. That's primary, that's important. That you are a Christian does not make you a perfect, make your marriage or a relationship a Christian marriage. What makes it a Christian marriage that will thrive trials and temptations is your obedience to divine instructions about relationships. So you cannot enter a relationship with lies and deception and expect it not to suffer turbulence and accidents. You can't live in a marriage with a heart of an unbeliever and expect you to thrive. You live in bitterness, you live with unforgiveness, you use terrible words on your partner and they expect it to be stable. So principles, when they are properly obeyed, the challenges submit. That's what I will say to that.
Wow. So can we say that it's a continuous, consistent breaking of principles that are leading to more divorces in our time? Is that a good summary?
You are very, very correct. Continuous and consistent breaking of principles. Now, let me tell you something. when a young girl and a young guy that are in courtship or that are dating suddenly break. If I ask you now, one major reason that dating relationships break, without blinking an eye, you can tell me, number one is that one partner says the other one is cheating on me. Do you know that it is lie and ignorance and stupidity? Two persons that are not married, how can you say that he's cheating on you if two of you have not been sleeping together? How is he cheating on you? You are cheating on God and cheating on yourselves with each other. So how can you say cheating on you? So if they are keeping a principle of no premarital sex, no fornication, which is what the Bible calls it, they keep principle of purity, you can't talk about cheating. I can't forget in, I think, 96 or so, when I met my wife, we discussed and had an agreement that our courtship is not going to have sex inside it. We had that agreement. And I told her to hold me to it. What did I tell her? Any day I begin to touch you beyond where I should touch, give me a hot slap and apologize immediately. I can't forget. I can't forget. Because when the adrenaline of a man is hot, he loses sense. So I told her, hold me to it. And by the grace of God, it was on our wedding night, after we have been joined together, that we had our first sex together. So we ran by that principle. If you run by this principle, you will have little hitches in your courtship and in your dating, because majorly people suspect infidelity. A man that sleeps with a woman he wanted to marry or he wants to marry, or the woman that gives herself to sleep with a man she wants to marry, when you get into marriage, infidelity will not take time to happen, because that's how you have known to live your life. So these are, when we break principles, crisis coming.
Wow, okay. My wife will take the next question. Please ask the next question.
Okay, we have a question here. It says, what are the most common red flags that people usually ignore when entering into relationships?
The most common red flags. Now, these red flags, I call them slow down or quit signals. Slow down or quit signals. Or quit signals. Most people are married today that are having one crisis or the other in their marriages. When they were dating, or when they were in courtship, they had these signals. Some of them ignored these signals. Some of them were ignorant about these signals, not just ignoring it. While some of them treated it with kid blows. And some of them said, let's go ahead. I believe he will change. She will change when we get married. And they never changed. Now, what are these common signals? Number one signal. When you see dishonesty, when you see that somebody that you're in a relationship with lies, not once, not twice, you have noticed dishonesty in his lifestyle or her lifestyle, is a signal that you may not have peace with him when you get married. Another signal is clinginess. Clinginess. What is clinginess? When somebody is clingy, it means that the person cannot survive 1 minute without talking to you. Some people in this generation will think that it is love. When a guy wakes up in the middle of the night and calls you on a regular basis and say, baby, I cannot sleep, I need to talk to you. And sincerely, he cannot sleep. When he's working in the office, he cannot concentrate, she cannot concentrate until he calls and sees it. Something is wrong, that clinginess. When he's with you, he's happy. When she's not with you, she's not happy. That's clinginess. If you see such a signal, you shouldn't go ahead to say you want to marry the person, because you are not God. You are not God. the person will depend on you for happiness. And anybody that will depend on the partner for happiness is a liability in a marriage. Because there is no happiness inside marriage except the one you bring into it. If a husband is bringing happiness inside, the wife is not bringing it, she's depleting the happiness, that will be fracas in the home. So any man or woman who wants to marry you, who is not independently happy, that's why we call people that are about to get married singles. You have to be, single means integer, you have to be whole. Another red flag is when somebody is not industrious. He's lazy. She's lazy. He's not doing anything. Over years, he's just depending on people, dependency. And it's not, you can't see what is working towards. I'm not talking about being rich or wealthy. No. But this person is not industrious, is not resourceful, is not working at something. It's a red flag. When you marry that person, the person will be dependent on you. You will carry a lot of loads. Another red flag is violence. Violence. Young lady, how can you still be contemplating getting married to a guy who had hit you twice or 3 times and apologized, and you are still thinking of getting married to him? When he gets married to you, you are in a very hot soup. So when you see such a signal, please slow down or you quit. Violence. And a young lady is not married to you, he came over to your place and she's angry with you and she breaks television or she breaks one electronic or she carries your phone, smashes it, and later begins to come and apologize with her friends and I'm begging. Tomorrow she does something close to it. It is a time to quit that relationship. It's a quick signal. That's the type that can use knife or whatever and wound somebody. A guy has been slapping you when you are not married. And he apologizes and begs you that it's the devil. You are about to marry the devil. You are about to marry the devil. You are about to marry the devil. So you stay away from such kind of, don't tell me I love him. I got a message from a young lady with wounds everywhere that this guy beat me and wounded me and he came to apologize. Daddy, I still love him. I insulted her. I said, you are very, very stupid if you still love. What do you call love? Today, what we call love is not love. It's infatuation and neediness. Neediness. That's another signal. When somebody is needy, he's looking for love. She's looking for love. So his neediness is not love. So when you see violence and see those signs and extreme anger, a young lady recently got her husband packed out of the home because whenever the man is very angry, he'll be beating her, hitting the door. And I asked her, when you are dating, did you see it? She said, yes, she saw it. But as she thought that when they get married, when the man feels her love, that it will change. People don't change because you love them. This is capital. This is key. People don't change because you love them. This is noteworthy. Because people think that when I show him love, when I show her love, she will change. No, love fertilizes whatever somebody is. People change when they love you and make sacrifices for you. People change when they reciprocate your love because we make sacrifices for what we love or what we hold in high esteem. You don't see a chain smoker and you say, I love him. When he's a chain smoker and he's very violent. He said, when he sees my love, he will calm down. He will use you to be learning his practice. The day he will stop smoking, stop beating you, is the day he values you and loves you. He now makes sacrifices. Part of the sacrifice is to stop the habit of violence. So please don't marry in hope. Don't marry on credit. Don't marry people that they will change. You are not God who gave us salvation on credit. God gave us salvation on credit because he's omniscient. He knows that we will repent. But what do you know about the future of that person? When you see these signals, please slow down or quit. Thank you.
Wow. You know, I like that the last point that you made, saying that people do not change because you love them. People
Yes.
change because they love you.
Yes.
And because they want to be with you, they make the effort to change. Okay?
Yes.
Now, if we put that, side by side in our relationship with God, how do we apply that principle in our relationship with God? We change in our relationship with God. God doesn't change. God doesn't need to change, but we are the ones who are needing to change, and we change not because we are loved by God. We change because we want to love God and follow Him and obey Him. So we make the effort to change. Would that be correct to say so, sir?
Very, very beautiful. Let me bring the scriptures into it. Now, how does love work? Love works before people changes. Romans 5 verse 8. While we were yet sinners, God loved us. That's why I say trust people by faith. Now, if you are already a married person, how you can get your husband to change? The change you expect is to love them unconditionally the way they are. That's how you can get your partner to change. The way they are, love them the way they are. If you are not married, love the people the way the person is, but don't marry the person. If that's why we are talking about compatibility before marriage and commitment inside marriage. If you are not yet married, compatibility is key. Very, very key. If you're already married, drop compatibility and look for commitment. Now, God loved us while we are yet sinners. Why will you, man of God, you studied and made good grades in the university? You had opportunities of good jobs. Your wife was working where she was almost a manager. Why will you leave it and enter ministry? Because you are reciprocating God's love. We make sacrifices for what we love. Why will somebody carry a huge amount of money he needed for something and give it for the ministry work? Where a man's treasure is, there is his heart.
Yes.
There also is his heart. So people change when they love you and make sacrifices for that love. Very important. So inside marriage, you see some issues with your partner. What do? If you expect a change from your partner, love him unconditionally. After some time, your love will become a seed sown in his life that begins to germinate. And he begins to return the love. When he begins to return the love, he begins to value you. When he begins to value you, he begins to change. Or she begins to change.
Wow. Wow. All right. Pastor Joe, thank you so much. We're going to go on an ad break just now. It's been a very insightful first segment of the show tonight. We want to encourage you, if you're out there and you want to send us questions, please send the questions, write them there on the YouTube comment section, or you can send them via WhatsApp or on Facebook. But do send in your questions. We are going to take a short ad break and we'll be back just now.
Why are you still single? Do you feel you're not ready yet? Do you say it's not my time yet? Have you made mistakes in the past and now you're stuck in a complicated situation? Or perhaps you've given up totally on the idea of marriage? Why not join Pastor Chuksogoye, author of The Amazing Power of Woman book, and his wife, Pastor Toyin, the founders of the Power of Woman Academy, at the next Single Ladies Bootcamp to explore and answer your questions. A big miracle could be waiting for you. For more information, visit www.stlbc.co.za or WhatsApp 081 421 0835.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. This is thank God it's Friday, and we are so delighted to have Pastor Joe Igbanugo all the way from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. For the people who are joining us, the single ladies, we want to tell you about the forthcoming Single Ladies Boot Camp. Let me ask my wife to allow my wife to tell us a little bit, and then I'm coming back.
Yes, as you just watched on the advert, it's a Single Ladies Boot Camp, and it's a camp we hold quarterly, and we usually go over a weekend, and we take for the single ladies, and it's usually a time of just teaching and learning the same principles we're talking about. We go in depth. We help each single to be able to understand why they are still single, and what they need to do to leave the singles bench and actually have a fruitful relationship going forward. And it's usually a very fun time. It's usually a time where people are able to shed off whatever things had held them back and be able to receive wisdom that helps them build appropriately going forward.
All right. Well, we are having the first online edition of the Single Ladies Boot Camp on the 26th of June. And if you're a single lady out there and you're watching or you're listening, this is your opportunity to register for the camp. We are running a special at the moment where if you bring a friend, you get a major discount. I want you to consider it very seriously to register to come for the Single Ladies Boot Camp happening on the 26th of June. It's going to be online.
Why are you still single?
Friday,
Do you feel
Saturday,
you're not ready yet? Do you say it's not?
Because of the lockdown, we are not having a physical camp, but we will be having a digital camp. We're meeting digitally, and we are going to still enjoy the same anointing and the same grace that normally flows with the Single Ladies Boot Camp. So I'm looking forward to receiving your applications or your applications, and then we're going to see you at the camp. All right, the date is 26th of June all the way to Sunday, the 28th of June. Details are on our website, slbc.co.za. slbc.co.za. All right, let's carry on with our conversation. Our guest tonight is a veteran in the marriage and relationship space who God is using around the world to bless lives as he ministers. He's been at this for many years. Married for almost 23 years with three powerful boys. They are not boys; they are called nations. And we have the singular honor and privilege to have him minister to us both last Friday, this Friday, and he has also agreed to continue next Friday, but we're going to talk about it in a while. Pastor Joe, thank you so much for so much you have already shared. There are other questions here. We want to go to the next question. This one says, why are some relationships harder to get over than others?
Wow. Wow. A little bit of correction, putting record straight. My three nations are two men and one woman. Yes. But they're all called nations. Now,
right. They are all nations. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Why are some relationships harder to get over with than others? I asked a lady yesterday, the relationship we were about to fix, recently, that broke. What is your greatest pain in it? She, with damp eyes, said, because I had given myself, my body, my mind, my heart to the guy. She even said she had had some pain with the guy. They stayed together for 3-4 years. She had had some medical pain and scissors. I don't want to go beyond. out of that relationship. So the pain of having lost part of her dignity to a man that eventually did not marry her. So that's why some relationships are harder to get over. Number two, investment people have made in relationships. Investment people have made in relationships. Emotional investment, material investment they have made in some relationships. That's why I want people, I want people, any money you are spending, any resources you are spending in a dating relationship, and you are hoping it will lead to marriage, don't spend them as investment. Spend them as benevolence, so that God will pay you, so that God will reward you. You have a reward for it. Don't spend them as I'm investing in my future marriage. No, because the marriage may not hold and it becomes a great loss, economic loss. So what do? Whatever you want to give materially, give it as a help. Very important. In this part of the world, some young men who have not gone to the tertiary institution will be spending their money training a young girl and told the girl that you must go to school. By the time the young girl graduates from the university, she comes out and says she will not marry him. And the guy begins to move around and begin to mourn and begin. It may not be happening by the other part, but by this part of the world, it happens. Now, whatever you go and cry about that lady, God won't avenge anything for you because you acted in foolishness. If you are sending a girl to school, go to school also, so that you can meet up her intellectual level when she has finished. If you are a young lady and you are investing money on a guy, make sure if you are training the guy to raise his intellect, raise your own also. So another thing people lose in relationships that make it more difficult for them to get over than the other is their name. Some friends have known about their relationship. They've seen us together. They know us together. How will I come and tell them now that we are no more together? But can I let you know, it is better you carry that image that way, get into a new life, than to manage in what you know is not working. Because a broken engagement or broken courtship is not the same thing as a crisis-ridden marriage or a broken marriage. So then, let me put a caveat here. If you have a relationship that packed up, you are not yet married, packed up, maybe your heart broke. To start with, nobody has the right to break your heart except you give it to them. This is not what. Nobody has the right to break your heart except you give it to them. In relationships, don't give people your heart, give it to God. Let the custody of your heart be between you and God, not anybody. Now, let me get back here. If you are out of a relationship with a broken heart, please don't quickly jump into a fresh relationship. Allow yourself to heal. Take time to heal. Take time to heal. Because as soon as you are coming out from a relationship and you are battered, you are feeling a lot of pain, emotional pain and hurt. Any nearby person who says, "How are you?" looks like a sucker. And you can wrongly enter into a relationship. So take your time to heal and overcome, no matter how deep. Take your time to heal before you begin to get into another one. Okay.
Right. Now, somebody who is constantly getting into relationships, then they give themselves sexually into relationship, it breaks. They get into the next one, they give themselves sexually, it breaks. What is really wrong with that person? And how can we help that person?
Very simple. Don't run from 3 months. You begin to date somebody. Don't run a relationship that is open-ended. from 3 months. Let your relationship with anybody have a cause, have a focus. If it doesn't have a focus, keep it platonic. Don't give yourself, don't give your commitment to somebody who has not committed to you. Very important. Now, please, I beg people, stop looking for love. Stop moving around looking for love. Love will find you. If you love yourself and value yourself. Why people get into a relationship, before you know it, they have gone sexual. And the moment you have gone sexual, what we call in Nigeria, see finish has entered. There's nothing about you again. What is the man looking for again? Where anytime he touches you, you're on the ground. He can move to another lady. And a man that has common sense, we know that the same way he gets you cheap sexually, the same way you give yourself to another man, even if you are sincere. So how do you help such people? The next one you enter, if a man says, if I don't lay with you, we are not moving on, please let him go on his own. That is not the person. Very important. Your femininity and your sexuality is your value as a woman. Let me let you know that a 62, 63-year-old man can dress up, freshen up himself, and get married to a 22-year-old girl. And the girl will be happy and excited. A woman of 40-something, 50-something years needs miraculous intervention. That's why we have a marriage must work to get married. A man of 40-something years, 51 years, 52, does not need a miracle to get married. He can marry anybody. He has money. So sisters and ladies, it is usually you people that lose most in getting in and coming out, getting in and coming out, getting in and coming out. Some of you are even in a relationship where suddenly you see on Facebook the same person that says is your date, he wants to get married to you. You see an invitation, wedding invitation on Facebook or on social media.
Yes.
And that is the person you are giving your body to, giving your time to. So just be careful. Finally, don't keep a relationship for more than 2 years. That's why it shouldn't be open-ended. Let it have a focus. Not just, let's remove it. Let's see how it goes. If you behave well, I marry you. If you don't behave well, are you begging anybody to marry you? Don't lower your self-esteem. Enter into a relationship with a focus. Know where you are going. And be sure that person has the fear of God and loves God. If not, they can dump anybody anytime. Know how to separate Casanovas from serious-minded people. Very important, so that you don't burn your fingers. Don't be in a relationship more than 2 years. If it's not going, you stay on your own. If there's no commitment, stay on your own. If a guy always comes to visit you, eats in your house, takes you out all the time, and he has not told you where the relationship is leading to, don't use your mouth to ask him where it's leading to. It's wrong. Do you know what you do? Keep yourself scarce. Keep yourself scarce. Now, 48 laws of power. Some of you don't like that. I like it. One of the laws says scarcity increases value. Keep yourself scarce. When he calls you on the phone, just greet him normally and be cold. He will use his teeth, his tongue to count his teeth. But it is wrong. It is wrong for you to tell a man, I wanted to talk to you. Where the relationship leading to? When are you seeing my people? It's very, very wrong. When are you paying? When are we going to court to wait? It's very, very wrong. It looks like you are desperate. What do you do? Make yourself scarce. Stop the regular meeting if the meeting does not have direction. How can you go and cohabit and you are thinking because you are in the Western world, you are thinking it will lead to a good marriage? You have been cohabiting with a man for 1 year, 2 years. You are in his house or in your house, and you are calling yourself husband to be. How? It will never lead to a successful marriage. It won't lead to a successful marriage. If you eventually get married, you are tolerating each other. One day, one person will be tired. So avoid these pitfalls in your next relationship.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Pastor Joe. Thank you. There's another question here. He says, how do you know that someone really loves you or is just settling for you?
Wow. How do you know that someone really loves you? Number one, he has a vision and a direction that includes you. He has a vision and a direction that incorporates you. He discusses it. He asks you your own direction, asks you your own vision, asks you your own aspiration all the time. And then you see how it factors into his own aspiration. A man who doesn't have a future with you, or a woman who doesn't have a future with you, discusses only his or her own interest all the time you are together. If he begins to discuss your interest, factor it into his own interest, how it can come out tomorrow, it means that he has you in his future. Very key. Very key. The number two, a man who really loves you will go out of his way to make sacrifices for you. Make sacrifices for you. The sacrifices start with changing. If you say that this little area, I need it modified, or it's not really working well, the man after some time begin to change, begin to modify. A man who really wants you in his future introduces you to one or two of his strong, quality, responsible friends and mentors and family members. People that are influential in his life, introduces you to them. People that can hold him responsible, introduces you to them. But if you are moving with a guy or a lady, each time he asks you about your family, about your people, the person covers it with another story. He doesn't want to know any of his close relationship. That's a Casanova. That's a playboy or a playgirl. Finally, on this point, we have many of them, but finally, the person is transparent. How can you be with a guy that wants to marry you and his gadgets are locked with pin codes? Or her gadgets, like phone, locked with pin codes, and you dare not touch it. And this lady wants to get married to you. This guy wants to get married to you. A phone call comes in where two of you are together, and it's not a business call. The person excuses you to go and answer it somewhere else, and it's not a business call. So you see that this person is not transparent. The person is not yet open to get into the future with you. Thank you.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. It's another question. It says, how do we know whether you love a person or it's just infatuations? How do you know whether it's love or it's infatuation?
Okay. How do you know whether it's love or infatuation? It's when that love has common sense. Infatuation doesn't have common sense. Infatuation can give anything it is asked to give. That's infatuation. How do you know love? You say no to what you need to say no to, and the person does not get angry. Ability to say no and not feel bad yourself is a sign that you're in love. Very important. Another sign that you are in love is you don't get distracted when you have not talked with the person for minutes, for hours. You are yourself. You are normal. You are responsible. That one that you call yourself every 1 hour, every 2 hours is infatuation. It's not love. It has not really grown into love. Because that is clinginess. That's clinginess. So this is part of how you can know.
Okay. So are we saying that infatuation can actually grow into love? Is it possible for it to start as infatuation and then grow into love? Is that
Now, we have what we call affection. Everything begins with affection. Affection has two legs. One leg is infatuation, one leg is love. So it begins with affection. You are fond of the person all the time. Now, when it becomes unbearable, that fondness becomes unbearable, gives you too much pressure, it's infatuation. When it gives you peace and calmness and responsibility, it's love. Yes.
All right. Okay. What do you do? This one now is for people who are married. What do you do when you are married to somebody who is abusive? Emotionally abusive or physically abusive? What do you do?
Okay. When you are married to an abusive person, number one, know that your marriage is already in bondage. It's in prison. So you don't need to come out. Marital bondage, you don't quickly jump out. But what do? Number one, there is a general statement or belief system in the world today that marriages should not have third party. When you have an abusive relationship or abusive partner, you're in an abusive marriage, you have to invoke what I call the law of convenience. That's something that we call it in government. Okay, doctrine of necessity. Doctrine of necessity. Where you bring in a third party. But that third party shouldn't be your close relation. It should be either a mentor or a professional counselor, or maybe your pastor. But not all pastors are professional counselors in this issue. Now, either the professional counselor or a mentor or the law enforcement agency. This is what, yes, let me come. This is what I explained. In Africa, if you invite police for your marriage, the family of the man or the woman who was a victim, who was the culprit, will be angry with you. But if a partner has become violent, physical violence, that's physical abuse. If you don't invite a third party, you might be dead before they know it. And nobody will talk about what happened. So get in to invite somebody to speak to two of you, to counsel, to instruct. If it gets beyond that, get to law enforcement agency or government agencies. In this part of the world, we have welfare. We have women feeder. I think it's in most of the countries, where you can go report issues about violence. Then invite your partner, and then your partner writes an undertaking, and then there's a third person who is a witness to the violence. Please don't live with abuse for a very long time. You might become a dead victim or a sick victim. Please don't live with abuse for a very long time. If you are married and you are in a very verbal abuse, sometimes verbal abuse, vituperations are more dangerous than physical abuse because they affect the esteem, bring down the self-esteem of the partner and begin to hurt the marriage. So getting somebody, calling an umpire, either a counselor or a mentor, or a matured person. Why I excluded family members is because if you bring in family members constantly to marriage issues, when you have settled with your partner, the family members will not forgive. They will not forgive. They still see your partner with the same eye you reported him 20 years ago. So that's why I said, as much as possible, keep family members apart and use confide in trusted, matured persons that can talk to you.
Okay. Now there are instances where a marriage is in trouble. The marriage is strained. Often, it is the woman who is making the effort to fix things. She's the one who is seeking for counseling. She's seeking for intervention, and the man often is not interested. He says, "No, there's no problem." What do you say in a situation like that?
Now, the situation you described is exactly the way it is. The woman shouldn't stop seeking for help. That is where prayer comes in. That's the point where prayer comes in, where the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord. Like rivers of water is turning into where he is. So the woman shouldn't stop seeking for help, but she should add prayer, strategic prayer into it. Then secondly, she can also approach closest confidants to the husband. Closest confidant to the husband. It can be a pastor. It can be somebody that the husband respects, that the husband can listen to when the person talks. I've handled such cases recently. Somebody that the husband can listen to, so she can also approach this person, but she shouldn't stop. She shouldn't stop. And if there's any man listening to us, and your marriage has some issues that you think is not an issue, and your husband, your wife has complaining and talking, please pay attention. Pay attention to what she's saying. If you need to see somebody to have this, go together and see this. Humble yourself. Most men are not most men. Some men are not humble. They think, how can I go and sit before another man and be discussing my marriage? For example, when there is no child yet in this part of the world, you might be running from one place to the other, even hospitals. Some men will not like to go for checkup in the hospital because sometimes challenges are from the men. But if you have not gone to medical diagnosis, you will not know what is wrong. So join your wife to find peace in your home. You also will enjoy it. Humility is key.
I want to also maybe reiterate what he has just said. If there are men who are on this broadcast today, we just want to appeal to you. Always be aware that if there are issues in your marriage, there's nothing wrong in seeking for help. There's nothing wrong in getting another perspective that helps you make your marriage better, make your relationship better. We don't come into marriage knowing everything that we ought to know. We come into marriage, and a lot of times we are learning while we're in marriage. So it's important for both the women and the men to seek information, to seek wisdom, which is why we're actually having these sessions, just to be able to bring out wisdom to people out there that helps them. And this is actually a safe place, because you can be listening to us without us really maybe being in your face, but you are getting wisdom. And we all need wisdom for our relationship. I just want to encourage anyone out there, please seek for wisdom in our relationships. We need it. Every one of us needs wisdom to be able to have a stronger relationship. I have another question here. It says, women nowadays, they earn more than men. Does it also contribute to the large number of divorces happening?
Wow. I hope I'll be able to put it, I will remember to put it the right way. Whether a man is humble or loves the wife when he has enough money. And then you know whether a woman is submissive when she has enough money. Now, sometimes one of the challenges in marriages today is money. Either paucity of it or excess of it. So when sometimes one of the partners has more money than the other, and two of them are not wise enough, there's no understanding of managing these things, it can hurt a marriage. Now, when a woman has more money and that woman is not humble, that woman doesn't run on purpose, it can hurt a marriage. It can hurt a marriage. I've seen a situation where a man lost his job. He wasn't bringing in much again. The woman pays the rent. The woman pays the school fees, handles bills. Then one day, the man complained that the wife sent him to go and run 1 or 2 errands. Why should the wife send him to do such a thing? And then he's very angry that he can't take that rubbish, he cannot take that rubbish. So he complained to me. So I began to encourage that if your wife picks bills now, know that your present condition is not permanent. If she picks bills now, handle this, buy stuff, buy cars. What is the big deal if you just go to get groceries from the market? She said, why? Why should I cannot do it. I'm a man. I can't become a woman. So I don't know how. I quickly told him that it is better to be happy and be healthy and be successful as a woman rapper than a man's trouser that is frustrated. In Nigeria, we call it woman rapper. Now, he got angry and left me. As he was going, I called him back again and I told him that if my wife pays the bill, all the bills, children's school fees, house rent, stuff, buys me a car, even if that car is not good, even if it's third-hand car. That when I wake up every morning, I will lie down on the ground and tell her to walk on top of me as road. So, yes, I needed to get him to think and to laugh, but he was still angry and left my office. After some hours around the night, I got a phone call. The wife called me and said, did the husband come to see me? I said, how? I called the call. The next day, the man was in my house with a smiling face, happy. I said, what has happened? He gave me an envelope that has some good money. I said, what is this envelope for? He said, yesterday, after you finished abusing me, that is what it was. After you finished abusing me, I thought over what you said. I went and bought the groceries, bought some stuff, came home and made food and waited for my wife to come back from work. When my wife came back and saw the food I've made, I was waiting for her for us to eat. After I finished eating, wife got into the room, brought out a handbag and brought a quality chunk of money and gave to me and knelt down and gave to me as is a husband's seed. So that money the wife gave to him, he split it into 2 and brought half to me the next day to thank me. So sometimes it takes humility as a husband to put up with a wife that seems to have more money at a particular time. If your wife is in business and is very successful and you're not doing much, if I were you, I would become I wouldn't bother, I wouldn't stress myself. I will help to manage the house. If she's working and she's very busy, goes out very early, comes out late in the night, and your own time, work gives you little time. Take care of the home front. It's a temporary thing. Don't be proud about it. Manage the home front. Be humble about it. And then let the home continue to move. My counsel to the women that you have God doesn't make your husband your houseboy. He's still the leader at home. That you are more anointed as a woman minister, and the husband is just an usher in church, and you are the general overseer, or you are a traveling evangelist, you are very powerfully anointed. It doesn't make your husband a less of a husband. As soon as you enter your door, your house, you are no more lady evangelist. You're no more general overseer. You're no more general manager. You are now wife to somebody, and your head is the man. So may God help us to understand submission, no matter what they've accumulated, and help us husbands to understand humility. It will help us to care and love our wives, and be appreciative of what the wife is doing that we couldn't do at a particular time. God bless you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Pastor Joe. We are running out of time. We're talking about finances there. I want to use this opportunity to talk to us about our forthcoming conference on the 8th of June. going all the way to the 14th of June, the Johannesburg Kingdom Financiers Conference. We are hosting 3 of the best minds around kingdom financing, and it's also going to happen online. So this is our annual Believers Finance Conference, but this year it's happening online. Take a look at the advert, and then we'll come back and we will wrap up for this evening.
The Johannesburg Kingdom Financiers Conference 2020, live online from the 8th to the 14th of June, starting at 7 p.m. This year's theme is discerning and taking the territories of the new world, with guest speakers Dr. Charles Amole, Pastor Charles Ngobeni, Pastor Kunle Sorian, and hosted by Pastor Chuk Sogoye. Register online or via WhatsApp. Registration is absolutely free. Join us and gain wisdom on taking territories in the post-COVID-19 world.
All right, welcome back. The Johannesburg Kingdom Financiers Conference for this year, our theme is discerning and taking territories in the new world. We all know that the COVID-19 has changed the world. And everybody who is in business, everybody who is working, everybody who earns money need to understand what the shift is and how to take control of the shift that has happened so that you are on top of your game. That's what this conference is about. We are taking territories. We are learning to know what those territories are and how to take those territories for our Lord and our King. It's going to be very, very powerful. It's going to be 7 days, starting from June the 8th, going all the way to June 14th. It's a free conference. It's online and it's a free conference, but you need to register so that you can get the link where you can join the conference. The registration details are on our website, reslife.org.za. That's where you go to register for the conference, reslife.org.za. All right. For tonight, we want to say a big thank you to Pastor Joe for sharing his wisdom and years of experience in the area of marriage and relationships. Pastor Joe, we are grateful for your wisdom, for the grace of God upon your life, for the time that you have invested to bless South Africa and to bless the rest of the world. We have people joining in from everywhere, and we thank you for your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
All right. Well, for all our guests, all our audience, we are continuing next Friday. Pastor Joe will be wrapping up next Friday. I want you to schedule it, plan for it, set it in your calendar. We will start 7 p.m. South African time next Friday by the grace of God, and we will complete this journey. Pastor Joe will be sharing some more powerful things with us when we come back next Friday. For everyone here, my wife does have some few words before we close, and I will wrap up as she shares.
Okay, just wanted to mention that if you do have questions, haven't listened to this episode, please, you can send those questions to our WhatsApp number, 081-421-0835, internationally, +27-81-421-0835. You can actually send your questions from now, and we will collate them to be able to answer them on next week, Friday.
All right. Well, a big thank you to all of you who joined. If you are watching by Facebook, I would love for you to share that button and click on the share button and share it. If you watch by YouTube, please like our channel, click and subscribe to our channel, and then click on the notification bell so that you will get notifications when we upload stuff. From my wife and myself, we want to say thank you for joining us tonight. Thank God this Friday continues next Friday with our guest, Pastor Joe Ibanugo, completing the journey he started with us last week. Next Friday will be the wrap-up. For now, we will continue to receive the ministry of Pastor Joe in the future. But for this season of the lockdown, Pastor Joe will be with us next Friday. So get ready. Send us your questions. We look forward to seeing you. Good night. God bless you. Till next week, Friday.
Pastor Chooks, along with his wife, Pastor Toyin, are the lead pastors of Resurrection Life Church in Johannesburg, South Africa. Through them, God is raising an army of ordinary men and women who are transforming and uplifting the standard of life in their communities through understanding and applying biblical principles. Pastor Chooks and Pastor Toyin frequently host workshops, seminars, and conferences for transformation and uplifting of the complete man, complete woman, and wholesome families. Some of the events and programs include the Dream Achievers seminars and conferences, Kingdom Financiers conferences, marriage enrichment courses and seminars, for wives only seminars, single ladies boot camps, limitless men's seminars. They are also the founders of the Power of Woman Academy, a group mentorship for high impact women. They also host the annual Power of Women conferences and events. For more information, please visit www.idelight.co.za and www.reslife.org.za or WhatsApp +27 814 210 835.